Hello everyone, in this video and in the subsequent videos we are going to deal with the chapter Diversity in the Living World. Diversity in the living world. And this chapter basically deals with a field of study called taxonomy. So let us analyze the word taxonomy. This chapter deals with taxonomy. And to tell you for information, taxonomy is actually derived from two Greek words. What are those Greek words? Let us see. First word is taxis, and it means arrangement. And the second word, Greek word, is nomos, which means law. So just punch these two words together and you will get the meaning of taxonomy. And taxonomy, let me give the definition. Taxonomy is the science dealing with the study of rules, principles and practice of identification, nomenclature and classification of organisms. Or in short, you can say that taxonomy is the law of arrangement. But taxonomy is just a small branch of a greater field of study known as the systematics, and it is the study of the diversity of organisms and all their comparative and evolutionary relationships derived from comparative anatomy, comparative physiology and comparative biochemistry. Systematics brings out unique properties at each level of grouping of organisms. So that was systematics, and taxonomy is just a branch of systematics. It deals with arrangement of organisms. But remember, before we arrange the organisms, we must identify the organisms, right? If we do not identify the organisms, how can we arrange them in a particular way? We should identify them. So that is a thing that comes under systematics. Then after we arrange, then we have to study them. So that is also another field of study which comes under systematics. So systematics is a broader field of study whose part is taxonomy. I hope it is clear. So now let us study taxonomy and let us study diversity in the living world. So let us remove this from there, and we should remove this arrow too. Now this chapter, what students feel is that is loaded with a lot of terms. But why these terms are so much confusing? There's only one answer. These terms are derived from dead languages, and these languages are Latin and Greek, which most of the people are unfamiliar with. So that's why we are feeling uncomfortable in learning these terms. But I am giving you a suggestion. Whenever you feel a term is a very complex term, or you are finding difficulty in memorizing it, you just Google the derivation of this term in the Latin or Greek, and you will find that this term explains its meaning when you study the meanings of the words which it is derived from in Latin or Greek. So that is a good advice. Now let us start the chapter diversity in living world. And this chapter starts from the first thing is that we have to learn the hierarchy of classification. So what is the hierarchy of classification? Let me remove this line for that. Okay, so hierarchy of classification. And to tell you that this is not a new science. This science of taxonomy or classification of organism has been from ages, or before the birth of Jesus Christ also. So Aristotle was the first, who is known as the father of zoology, started classifying organisms. Okay, so he wrote a book, Historia Animalia. Okay, and in this book he classified organisms according to what he thought. But according to his method of classification, there were very many problems which had arisen. What were the problems? The classification of Aristotle was based on gross morphological features. Like, if you find two things are similar in looking from in one another, and then you will classify them into one group. Let me give you an example. Let me tell you, let's say shark, let's say dolphin, and let's say fish, let's say starfish. They are all living in water. So according to Aristotle, they will come under the same group. But in reality, when we study the genetics and when we study cytology, it is found that these organisms are really not related to each other. So what is then the method of classification? The method of classification is now the new method of classification has been to see the genetics, to study evolution, to study cytology, and then classify them on the basis, classify the organisms. So now I will talk about the hierarchy of classification later on, but let me tell you the different forms of taxonomy first. So first, taxonomy can be of three types, or according to me, or can be of three major types. Okay, and they are, first of all, the alpha taxonomy. Okay, let me write it down. It is the alpha taxonomy. The second one is the beta taxonomy. Where is my text box? Yes. So the second one is the beta taxonomy. And the third one, as you may have guessed, is, yes, the gamma taxonomy. Alpha, beta, and gamma, used in mathematics, used in biology too. Okay, so gamma taxonomy. So let us learn what these kind of taxonomy are. First of all, the alpha taxonomy. Alpha taxonomy deals with the collection and identification of organisms, okay, on the basis of gross morphology. So we are only just looking on the morphology or the external features of that organism, and this alpha taxonomy is that which I told Aristotle used to do, based on the morphological outer characteristics. If you find two flowers very similar in looking, in color, you will classify them into one group. But it may turn out that those two flowers are very far away in relation to one another when we study the genetics. So this alpha taxonomy is not used today. Okay, so let me write down. It is not very popular, or it is not at all used these days. Okay, now let us learn what is the beta taxonomy. So beta taxonomy deals with identification on the basis of evidences from genetics, cytology, anatomy, physiology, etc. So sounds quite good. That was beta taxonomy. That is used in most of the countries, and it deals with the identification on the basis of on the basis of evidences from genetics, okay, cytology, anatomy, and physiology as well. Oh, my anatomy word has been broken into two parts, and physiology as well. Physiology. Okay, so let us see. It is based on genetics, means you study the base pairs A, T, C, G pairs, and you compare the two organisms, which if you find very much similarity between the two organisms in these nucleotides, then you tell that those two organisms may be related to each other in having a common ancestor very soon. Okay, now what is cytology? You study the components of the cell, and then you decide whether the two organisms are related or not. What is anatomy? It is studying the internal features of the organism, like when it is kind of opposite to morphology. In morphology, you see whatever you are describing, whatever you are seeing, without dissecting or cutting any part of the organism. But in anatomy, you cut the organism and see its internal structure also. And physiology is the study of the behavior or the characteristic of the organism. Okay, so beta taxonomy was based on these characters. Now then, what is the gamma taxonomy? The gamma taxonomy, it considers all microscopic observations and biochemical evidences, and is equivalent to neo-systematics. So what do I mean by neo-systematics? Neo-systematics is, it is used, and it is kind of the very popular, very good system to classify organisms. It is very correct, very accurate, but the problem is gamma taxonomy requires a lot of money, a lot of investment of money. So it is used in the developed countries who can invest money, okay, more amount of money, and the developing countries still now use the beta taxonomy for classification. So it is based on all microscopic observations and biochemical evidences. So let me write it down. It is based on all microscopic observations and biochemical evidences. Okay, so we discussed the types of taxonomy. Now let us keep till here. In the next video, we will discuss about the hierarchy of classification. That is, we classify the organisms into kingdom, phylum, class, order, family, genus, and species, and we will discuss about each of them. We will define each of them. And thanks for watching. Bye.